Hello everybody, and welcome to part 7 in the series, Is There Any Meaning to Life? In the past couple videos, we've been talking about how the world came into existence, why it came into existence, if there's any purpose to it, where the concept of right and wrong came to be, and how that applies to our lives now, and what to do with that information. In part 6, the one before this one, we talked about whether or not God can be personal, or if he's an impersonal God, just merely a life force, and what that means when it comes to forgiving us of us breaking the code of morality that we all agree that we have in place in our lives. So the concept for today is we've run into a problem because, see, if God is really good and the world is not good, then this being or this power must not really be all-powerful, because how can anything happen contrary to the will of an all-powerful being? But if you've ever been in a position of authority, you know that something can be in accordance with your will in one way, but not in another. Take a mother, for instance. It is common for a mother to say to her child, I'm not going to come to home and find you and make you clean up your room every day. You need to learn to do it on your own. Then one day she comes in and finds toys all over the floor and stinky socks piling up in the corner. This mess is against her will of there being a clean room. It is her will for the room to be clean, but it is also her will that allowed the child to be untidy. The same thing happens everywhere, in any school or country, or in politics. If you make something voluntary, half the population won't do it. That's not what you willed, but your will made it possible. And the same thing is true with the universe. We all have free will. We can do right or wrong. Some argue, well, why didn't God just make us only able to do good? You can try to imagine a person with free will with no possibility of doing wrong, but I cannot. If someone is free to do good, it must also be free to do bad. So why on earth give us free will in the first place? Because free will is the only thing that makes good worth having. A world of robots under control, living like machines, only able to do what they are told, would hardly be worth creating. Where's the joy in that? And if God is truly a personal God, something we have arrived to in previous videos, then it only makes sense that he would want people to voluntarily unite with him in goodness rather than being a blind machine. Did God know that if he gave people free will, that the potential for evil would happen? Yes, but apparently he thought it would be worth the risk. There are many of us who would beg to differ. But disagreeing with God is an interesting thing. If he created us, then he is the source of all our reasoning ability, and that's where our reasoning ability came from. You cannot be right and he be wrong any more than the Mona Lisa can tell its painter that he's painting it wrong. When you argue against God, you are arguing that the very one who makes you able to argue at all. You are arguing against the very one who made you able to argue at all. Sorry. This is just food for thought. So if God thought that the state of the world that it is in today was worth the price of free will, that is to say, a world where people can do real good or real harm, instead of a world that acts only when someone pushes the buttons, then it is worth it, even if we don't understand it. Now that we understand more about free will, we see why things have gone wrong in our world. Some may ask, well, why did God make humans so poorly that it went wrong? Well, you see, the better stuff that something is made of, the more clever, the stronger and freer it is, the better it will be if it goes right, but the worse it will be if it goes wrong. A worm does not have much potential or much capability to be very good or very bad. A child has more of this ability. An adult has even more. Take a brilliant genius and you have the possibility for extreme good or awful evil. Stay tuned for the next segment.